Oh, hey guys, you caught me making a drink here. Figured it was about time for a Moscow Mule. I had a couple more today by the pool. I thought I'd make one for while I make dinner. And yes, this is dirty keto. I try to stay pretty clean keto, but I have one day off a week. So I figured why not have a couple today? Here, have it while I make some fajitas for dinner. Some nice keto fajitas with keto homemade flour tortilla shells. So I have yet to find a good one at the stores that I'm willing to eat. This one's really good. The only problem is there's labor involved. I just got an ounce and a half of vodka in there in a glass filled with ice. Here, a half ounce of lime juice. Figure about a little over half a lime. And then I found this diet ginger beer today. And yes, it has sucralose in it, which isn't the best thing. But it's not going to spike my blood sugar. Those Trulies I found out actually have cane sugar in them, which is good. They're not high carb, but you're still getting the cane sugar. So cheers. Put my pop-out chat on so I can see. So it took me a little while to find keto soft tortilla shells that I could make and I actually liked. I really wish I could remember where I found them, but I just searched online a lot and I tried a couple different ones. I tried Keto Connects was pretty good. It was just egg whites and coconut flour, but mine broke. I don't know if I just didn't do it thick enough, which might have been my problem on that one. So I should really retry them, but this one is a really good recipe. And that called for half a cup of ginger beer. I think I put a little bit more than that in it. But I already made my fajita marinade. And I got a bunch of slivered up onions in there. I don't measure anything when I cook usually. But I just do chili powder, cumin, some onion and garlic, paprika, oregano, some crushed red pepper, salt and pepper, and a bunch of lime juice. I feel like that's kind of the secret to fajitas is having a little bit of acid in there. And then I have these flank steaks. I kind of wanted to show you flank steaks could be tough if you don't cut them correctly. But these are weird flank steaks. I got them from Butcher Box. And usually when I see flank steak, I see real thin pieces. These are big, like hunks of steak. So, but you can see there's a grain in the flank steak. And either you can cook these whole and cut them after. You want to cook them like medium rare. You don't want to overcook them because they'll be tough. But you can also slice them real thin and put them in a marinade. And you're going to cook them all the way through that way. But they're going to be nice and tender. So you just take them with a really sharp knife and you cut them on the bias. You can see the grain of the meat kind of comes apart. And that's what you want. Because you want it to fall apart in your taco shells. You don't want to be really tugging on your taco shell because then your taco shell is going to rip. Like I said last time, I really need to sharpen my knives. Still have not gotten to it. But I'm going to let these marinate while we make the tortilla shells. And before you put your meat in your marinade, always taste it. That way, you're not going to be tasting it with ground meat in it, or raw meat. So I tasted mine. I adjusted. A little bit more salt is really all I needed. I put a little bit more lime juice. And I might need to add a little bit more oil depending on, how much steak I put in there. Once I cut all this up, it might end up being quite a bit of steak. So I might need to add a little bit more oil to coat everything real good. Normally, I wasn't home all day. Normally, I would do this in the morning and let it marinate all day. But I also wanted to kind of show you how to cut the flank steak in case you're not familiar with it. This makes it just super tender. As you can see it like it'll fall right apart when we cook it. I really, really, really wanted to find, I love this recipe so much that I was actually in the market for a tortilla press because it would make it a hell of a lot easier to do these tortilla shells. But Amazon, which is usually the fastest, I was checking on Saturday, they did not have any in stock. So I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm just going to massage these around in here. Try to get all that marinades at the bottom. I think there might be enough oil in here to coat it. That looks good. I'm going to set that aside, wash my hands, get rid of the beefy cutting board. Going to be cutting up some veggies later for the tacos, fajitas, so I'm going to be using that. So clean that real quick. Now, I really do wish I remember where this came from, but it's a really simple recipe. It's just coconut flour, flaxseed ground, some psyllium husk, and then whatever seasonings you want, and a little bit of lukewarm water. So it's pretty simple. You just mix it into a dough ball, and I'm going to try to get some of the air out of this and actually seal it. And you just roll it out into 6-inch tortilla shells, and you use just a nonstick pan and just fry them up. Probably massage that every once in a while to get make sure all the steak is covered real good. Gonna leave that out there. So when I usually make this, I usually make it in a big batch. I'm just gonna do enough for 6 tortillas right now, just because I don't want this live stream going too crazy long. But it's just a half cup of coconut flour. And I do usually weigh my stuff out. But it's not too bad with like a recipe like this because the liquid's just water. So I'd say just don't add all your water at once, and just make sure you're not going to add too much with how much coconut flour you have. It's really just for the flour. Weighing it out is always better because you don't know how much you're packing it into the half cup. So a tablespoon of flaxseed. which I've heard that people think that this smells like fishy. I got this one from Thrive Market, and I got it ground, and I got it a while ago. And it doesn't smell fishy at all to me. And it says it's good until December. Should probably get on some flaxseed recipes. 1 tablespoon of that. 3 tablespoons of psyllium husk. I do use this quite often. I got this one on Amazon, and I do have an affiliate link in a couple of my videos for this. It works really good in baked goods. And this, it helps keep it together so that your tortilla shells don't fall apart. And this is just pretty much pure fiber. So, yep, 4.5 carbs, but it's 4.5 fiber. So, no carbs in that one. So really all you're getting the carbs from is the coconut flour. And this has 1 per 3 tablespoons. So it's only 0.33 carbs. And a half cup here. And coconut flours are all different too. I found that out. This is 4 grams for 2 tablespoons. So 4, 8, 12, 16. 16 grams for all these. So divide that by 6. It's 3 grams less. Never good at math. Got to do everything on my phone, unfortunately. I'm not even like one of those people that always had a phone. I did not have a phone in school. So we're going to add to this. We're going to mix this up a little bit. We're going to add some seasoning. We're going to add some salt and pepper. I always put garlic in everything, so I got garlic powder. And I've heard this adds carbs. I'd have to check on a website online to find out how much exactly. The original recipe called for cumin. I do a little bit of chili powder, a little bit of cumin. Why not have more flavor than less, right? Okay, and we're going to get a cup of lukewarm water. You also have to let this sit for a little while. It takes a couple minutes for the psyllium husk to hydrate. What? Flying everywhere. So I didn't add all the water, but it looks like I'm going to need it. I might even need a little bit extra. You want this just to form a dough. See, so the coconut flour, I did a half cup, but I probably packed it more than I should have. Always better with keto doughs to get right in there. Might be enough. Add a tiny splash more. That's why if you see any of my baking videos, you'll see me weighing things out. That's about right. So her recipe was to form it into 4 balls after it hydrates for a little bit. I'm going to wait a little bit longer, see if it gets any stiffer. If it doesn't, I'm going to add a little bit more water to it. While that's hydrating, I'm going to cut up our condiments for our fajitas. I think normally you just do onions and peppers, but if I have lettuce, tomato, avocado, I try to use it up, especially because I'm working every other day but today. So during summer, my produce tends to go bad on me. So every time I have an opportunity to eat it, I usually do. I usually try to make one meal a week, and that meal usually has some kind of my produce in it. Which, like, I have cauliflower in there that has been in there for a couple of weeks that I probably need to use. So I'll probably make something next week with that, if it's still good. If you haven't tried a Moscow Mule, you should. It's delicious. So I know it's not the healthiest thing, but I always keep a head of iceberg around. Mainly because it just lasts forever. So if you ever want that little bit of lettuce on something, you have it. Spring mix goes bad pretty quick. Iceberg, even if it does go bad, like it kind of is a little rotten, you just peel off the outside, like they say in Look Who's Talking. If anybody, perfectly good head of lettuce. I just usually tear up my lettuce. I don't really do much to it. Find out you shouldn't really cut your lettuce unless you're going to use it right away because it will bruise and brown really quick. So if you don't know why you're watching me, or if you see this video later, I am a chef. I've been cooking literally for 17 years. Makes you feel old when you think of when you started working. I started working when I was 16 in a kitchen as a grill cook. It's crazy to think it's been that long I've been in kitchens. But I've learned from every single job I've had, I've definitely learned more and new things. You never stop learning in the cooking, in the culinary field, that's for sure. I even worked even after culinary school in high school, I did pastry school for college. I had pastry jobs, I had chef jobs, I had just plain cooking jobs at Fridays, and in between things I had to do something. I found jobs that, needed me at the time. To keep your iceberg even more fresh once it's out of the plastic, I always put a little bit of paper towel in whatever I'm putting it in. Soaks away some of the moisture. And I don't always seal my stuff all the way either. You want to let lettuce breathe a little bit. Trying to go and use less plastic bags, so that's why I'm using these guys now, which they're okay. I think the design could be a little bit better, but it's good for what I'm using it for. Too much produce in my produce drawer that I'm probably not going to use. Okay, so I got my lettuce here. Don't need a lot because we're just making little tiny taco shells, so you're not going to be able to fit a ton in there. I'm going to cut up a little bit of tomato to have with it. Normally, if I don't have tomatoes, I would just do a salsa or something, a low-carb salsa. We bought tomatoes, and we got to use them before they go bad. And I don't count a lot of my carbs from... can't say I don't count them, but vegetables have the good kind of carbs in them, you know? I'm not eating like a donut or anything with cane sugar in it. I mean, I try to limit, like I don't literally just take a tomato and eat it or, you know, things like that, but and literally all I had today was some protein. I had some pork rinds, some beef jerky. That's pretty much it. And some drinks. So I definitely gotta get my fat in, which is why I'm doing an avocado. And I'm probably going to make some kind of Chipotle mayo or something to put on this too, along with some sour cream. I'm gonna check my dough real quick. I think I might need some more water still. Before it was like pretty like stiff dough. So her recipe, I believe it was a woman. You do 4 balls of dough to start out with. And then all your scraps from those 4, you should be able to make 2 more out of. I'll put them back in the bowl for now. I'm going to need some room on my counter. So I got 4 decent sized balls here. Get rid of this. Massage my steak a little. Cut up my avocado real quick. I just slice carefully so you don't slice through all the way. You get nice slices out of it. And usually either a spoon or just your thumb to get all the avocado slices out. There you go. When I'm at home, I use my hands a lot. It's just me eating and cooking, so what's it matter, right? I'm going to move my vegetables. Kitty's joining us. So for this, you use 2 pieces of parchment paper. I'm pretty stingy, so I take one of my piece of parchment paper, and this is about 6 inches or so. So I just cut this in half. You can either just try and rip it like that, or you can take your chef's knife. Once you fold it, you take it and you cut it like that. So this should be good for my 6-inch tortillas. Now this bowl, I of course don't have a 6-inch bowl. This is a 5-inch. So I cut it out initially with this, and then I roll it a little bit thinner, and that's about 6 inches. Cooking at home, you do not have to be precise, that's for sure. It's all about what you want to do. So you can even do these bigger if you want. I would make the batch bigger just because if you want to do bigger shells, you might as well get a bunch of big ones out of it instead of just 1 or 2. But I think they're a pretty good size. So I got it on the table here on the parchment. I'll squish it down a little bit. I'm going to preheat my pan. You just want it over medium heat this whole time. And I'm going to do a little tiny bit of avocado oil spray on it. You don't need a lot. And even I found that you don't really need it all that much. And get out a baking rack to set them on once they're done. That way, if they cool on something flat, you're going to end up getting soggy tortilla shells. And you don't want soggy, soft tortilla shells. I just take my rolling pin. I try to get it as round as possible. But like I said, you're at home, you're cooking. Doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, I try to just get it semi rolled out, and then I cut it with the bowl to get my round shape. And then I'll roll it out a tiny bit more so that fits perfectly. Take that off, save the excess so you can roll another one. The great thing about this is that you don't really get a tough tortilla shell because there's no gluten in it. So there's your 5-inch tortilla shell. And it's a little thick. So that's why I like to cut it and then roll it out a tiny bit more and get it the thickness you want. There you go. It's not perfectly round, like I said, but not bad. So once your pan's heated, you're just going to pop this on the heat. You hear the nice sizzle, which is always satisfying. And it's just going to cook on there for a minute on each side. So while that's going, you're going to roll out your next one. It's all about efficiency with tortilla shells because they do take some time. And you don't want to take forever making all your tortilla shells for dinner. Again, you can use, they do have Siete makes an almond flour tortilla shell. I have not found them. I don't really go to high-end grocery stores very often. And then they also have the Carb Balance, which I used to get those before I did keto, just to kind of try and be kind of healthy. But they have gluten in them, and I really don't eat too much wheat anymore. So I'm kind of afraid if I eat 3 of those, I'm going to have a stomach ache. So I've been opting to make my own. Also, I have the turmeric coconut wraps. And they're not bad either. They're more like, for me, I'd rather have them for like a lunch wrap than having them for a taco or a fajita. I do still have some, which means they're not the best because I've had them, I think, since the beginning of March. And I haven't eaten them all yet. It comes with 7 in a pack. And I haven't eaten them all yet. But I don't eat a lot of lunches. I kind of bought them more for hiking and backpacking. So halfway through, you want to give it a little turn. It's just going to be a little golden brown on top. My phone's giving me notifications that I'm live. Okay, so that one is all nice and rolled out. I'm going to pop that one on the heat. After this one comes off. Only needs a couple seconds, and it gets kind of fluffy. I've actually seen a naan recipe that's kind of similar to this, and it got fluffy also. That's why I love the psyllium husk. It gives it like a puffiness. They're very soft and pliable. I'm going to keep rolling. I think this still could have used a tiny bit more water in it, but it's working. So it's not too labor intensive. I mean, I did a really big batch because I'm like, I don't want to keep making them because we eat tacos a lot. And I made a big batch and I made like 24. It took me probably over an hour. But I had them in there for a while and we ate a bunch of meals with them. I still ended up not eating them fast enough, surprisingly. I thought for sure. It was almost like, oh, I don't want to use them because I want them for the future, but then you end up not eating them. It was kind of like me, like, do I want to eat one right now, or do I want to save it for when we have tacos, and I want 3 of them. So that's kind of what happened, and they ended up going bad on me. It has a little bit of cracked edges, so I'm going to just clean it up a little bit. There we go. You're going to have enough for 2 more tortilla shells here, so you keep all your scraps together. Then after we get these tortilla shells done, we're going to fry up our meat. So if you're just joining, or if you're seeing this later, I did some fajitas. Some fajita marinade with chili powder, cumin, lime, with some flank steak and onions that we're going to fry up and put in these tortilla shells. I really wanted you guys just to know this recipe. A half cup coconut flour, 1 tablespoon of flaxseed, 3 tablespoons of psyllium husk, a cup of lukewarm water, and just some salt, pepper, and seasonings. And it stays together great. Like I said, I did it in a big batch, so you can double, triple, quadruple. I think I quadrupled it. And they all turned out good. And I sandwiched them between parchment paper and stored them in the fridge. I think I heard that you could freeze them, which is what I should have done. I know better, but kind of forgot about it. And then by the time you knew it, they were no good anymore. The only thing with keto stuff is you have to use parchment paper, and I always have trouble with parchment paper. I feel like if I just did it right on the wooden board, it'd be easier. Haven't tried it. I said you just want a kind of rustic shape, and then I cut it out with the bowl. I always leave my spatula over here. It kind of works in a really good rhythm, though. You roll it out, you go back, you flip it. As long as you keep it medium to low. All stoves are different. Even all my burners are different. Whenever a recipe says to do it on a certain temperature, I always have to kind of cut it down a little bit. Things tend to burn. Brand new oven with high-powered burners are more unpredictable. Ooh. Number 4 is rolled out. And I'm just putting them on a baking rack to cool so they don't get soggy on me. They're all nice and flexible. They don't break or anything. Even when I put a bunch of stuff in it, I always overstuff tortillas. That's kind of how it always rolls. I feel like everybody kind of does that. Their eyes are bigger than their tortilla shells. Okay, so only 2 more to go. So I'm going to take this ball here and I'm going to cut it into 2. Roll out 2 more shells. And he said the tortilla press would really come in handy. So I might still order one and use it in the future. Because if you just do the balls like that and then press them out, you can just break this into 6 small balls and use your tortilla press. Be much faster. So I have another new video coming out on Friday for banquets we're going to have and such. Oh, okay, we're reconnected. I thought I was going to have to restart. The more banquets we do, the busier I'm going to be at work. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to keep up with the shooting and editing schedule that I put out there. But I hope so. And like I said, I want to do these every Monday, but it's my only day off. So if my boyfriend wants to do something or one of my friends has something they want to do, I might not do a cooking video. But I also, I cook all day at work every day. So I don't always want to cook on my one day off. But I have tons of butcher box meat to use, so I have plenty of stuff to cook with. We bought they had a Father's Day sale, and I bought a bunch of steaks. So I'm hoping to be able to do some grilling sometime soon. And maybe I'll do that on here. Unfortunately, I can only do this on my laptop right now. I don't have enough subscribers. So it might be a little difficult to take my laptop out there and grill, but I might try it one of these days. Maybe have a nice fire or something on a Monday night. One more tortilla shell, and then we're going to fry up our meat and put together our tacos. You call them tacos. They're fajitas. Well, I don't know what really makes a fajita. Maybe just the peppers and onions. I always think it's the lime juice. Gives it a little bit of different flavor than a taco. Like I said, I might make a little Chipotle mayo to put on it too, because I have to get my fat in today. I have not eaten much. We're almost done. Like I said, this is a 5-inch bowl, so I roll them out a little bit more. I always forget to put the parchment on. I do have a tiny bit extra. I might make a tiny tortilla shell. I don't have to fit one little piece of meat in anyways. So they're pretty thin. You can see. I could probably even do them thinner, but it says that you get 6 out of it, and that's what I got. So I guess that's kind of the recipe. Although these might be a little bit smaller than 6 inches. They kind of shrink up as you cook them too. Last one in the pan. I'm going to use that same pan to do my steak in. See how much dough I have left. I can make one out of. Make a teeny tiny guy. Don't want to waste any. Little thin patty guy. Always leave my spatula. Clean up a little bit. Get rid of some stuff. Getting warm in here. Once they're fully cooled, you can stack them on top of each other. You just don't want to do it when they're warm. There's some Sir Kensington's avocado mayo. I think I'm going to flavor up some. Last tortilla in, the little baby guy. Hello, whoever's joining me here. If you just came, I'm making some fajitas. I made my own tortilla shells. Nice and thin and flexible, and they hold their shape. Cooking a little baby guy back here. Well, this recipe was just coconut flour, flaxseed, psyllium husk, water, and some seasoning. So it's a super easy recipe. I found it online. I can't for the life of me remember who it was. It was one of those days where I was just searching tons of videos to try and find a tortilla shell to eat tacos with. Cleaned down my surface a little bit. Got dough everywhere. I'm going to make a little, I think I got some Chipotle pureed in the fridge from like one of those cans of Chipotle and adobo. I'm going to make a little Chipotle mayo. My little tiny guy for one little piece of meat. I'm drinking a keto Moscow Mule here. They actually do sell diet ginger beer at the premier wine and spirits that I go to. And it's not technically healthy, strict keto. It's a lazy keto that has sucralose in it, but it is so good on a hot summer day. So I'm going to turn this off for now. That meat is literally going to take 2 seconds. If you're just joining me, I sliced it super, super thin against the grain so that it'll fall apart real easily in the tacos. It won't pull as you're trying to eat it. I got it marinating here in a bunch of seasonings. Some cumin, chili, crushed red pepper, garlic, cumin, a little bit of oregano, paprika. The thing that this is like a juxtaposition between my pastry show. Pastry is very strict. You have to use measurements. You have to weigh everything. Cooking, you can kind of just throw stuff together, seasoning wise. I don't measure any of my stuff. Before I put the meat in, I tasted the marinade to make sure it was good. But you can always adjust. And I don't really ever follow a recipe. Sometimes if I make like a big batch of something, like a big batch of taco seasoning, because I actually love McCormick taco seasoning, but I looked at it and it has tons of carbs in it. I couldn't believe it. For like a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons, it was like 3 grams of carbs. And you use a couple tablespoons in a pound of ground beef. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, that's how much sugar they put in your taco seasoning? That's nuts. So I looked up like a huge batch recipe and made like a big batch of taco seasoning because we eat it all the time. And then I ran out of like all my seasonings. But that's a good way to go. If you make tacos a lot, make your own seasonings, that's for sure. You never know where your carbs are going to lie. Okay, so I am going to get, my freezer ice machine is really loud, sorry. I'm going to get a little bowl. I'm not going to make a lot of mayo. I'm just going to make a small batch. That's another thing I do. I make small batches of things and then I can never recreate them because I run out so quickly and I always want more. Like my barbecue sauce. I've made a keto barbecue sauce a bunch of times, and every time I make it for ribs, and then I use all the juices and make my own barbecue, but then I only have a couple ounces left, and when I want it again, I have to make it again. But now that I'm back at work, I guess that's kind of a good thing, because I'm not home to eat it much, so I'm just going to squirt in some of this avocado mayo I got here. And a good trick with your Chipotle, so like I was even hesitant to buy like a can of Chipotle and adobo, and I think I needed it for some recipe I was doing. And it's a big can, you only use a tiny bit. So I had these little dressing containers. I pureed all of it and put it in little containers and threw it in the freezer. So that way I just have a little bit that I can pull out when I want it. So I just have a little bit of mayo here. It's just me, so I'm not going to be using a lot. And I might leave a little bit for my boyfriend. But I'm not a huge spice person, so I'm only going to put like a tiny bit of Chipotle in here. Which that actually might have been a lot for this little bit. I don't know. We're going to have to taste it and find out. Not too spicy. Has anyone else realized that why do avocado mayos have so much lemon in them? I bought a bunch of Primal Kitchen garlic aioli. And I'm like, yeah, garlic aioli. I love garlic aioli. And I have a crappy one from Kraft or something, and it has soybean oil in it. And I got it, and I used it. I was so excited, and it tasted like lemon. I'm like, why? And this kind of tastes like lemon, too. So I got lemon Chipotle now, which I guess it kind of works with the lime fajitas, but not really what I wanted. So I'm going to add some garlic to this. I'm going to add some chili powder. Usually I wouldn't really use these spices raw, but it needs a little bit of help because that mayo is just not savory enough, I guess. Maybe I should just add some salt to it, but I don't know. A lot of times for my tacos and stuff, I make slaws, but I'm actually out of cabbage right now. But this is literally what I would put on a slaw. If I had like cabbage and a little bit of carrot shredded up, I'd use this and make a slaw for the top of my tacos. Or fajitas, or I've done like pulled rib tacos and stuff like that. It goes good. That's pretty good. I think it just needs maybe a little bit more salt. Okay, we're going to get to frying up our fajitas. want like a screaming hot pan because these aren't going to take long. You want to just sear them real quickly. Say hi to my mama's here. Okay, frying up some fajita meat. So I got a little bit of avocado oil, onions, chili powder, cumin, and paprika. I've been massaging it every once in a while, getting it all nice and in there. Smells good. Can't wait because I am starving. Made these awesome taco shells that are going to hold up to our filling. Can't wait to scarf this down. Have not eaten much today. Having a Moscow Mule. So we're just going to put a little bit of avocado oil in the pan. And we're just going to fry this real quick. It won't take long at all. Oh, where are my tongs? My tongs are always dirty. I really need more pairs of these. They're always in the dishwasher. Okay, pan should be hot because it was already kind of warm from the tortilla shells. Oh yeah. It won't take long, so I'm gonna grab a plate and get ready to start building some tacos. Oh, and I gotta get out my sour cream and some cheese. You can't have any kind of tacos or fajitas without cheese. I probably should have done a bigger pan. A little bit more meat than I thought it'd be. It's only 12 ounces. But that's with the onions, it's a little bit more. But yeah, I didn't want to do more dishes than I had to. So using the same pan as the tortillas. We got some sour cream and cheddar cheese. Got a little bit of Chipotle mayo to put on there. And then got my lettuce, tomato, and avocado. Those are going to be done in just a couple of minutes. So I'm going to start with some lettuce on my taco shells. You always want to put stuff that's not too liquidy on the bottom. Something that'll give you a little bit of a barrier between your meat and your sour cream and such. So I'm going to make 3 for now. I got nice slices of avocado. So I'm just going to put like 1.5 in each one. This is going to get my fats for the day. Okay, a little bit of cheese on our taco shells. And can't open the bag. There you go. Why? Okay. So in the future, if you guys are ever joining me here, you can have some chats about keto and dieting and all that sort of stuff. Like I said, I'm going to try to be doing every Monday, but like I said, it's my only day off. The fajita meat's just about done. I'm going to get a little bit more of that liquid reduced. And you do some of that Chipotle mayo on there. Now you can put your sauces on because you got a little barrier. Your taco shells don't get soggy. And last is sour cream and tomatoes. Tomatoes go on kind of last because they're juicy. Yeah, lots of sour cream. Like I said, I always overfill my taco shells. Okay, we're going to leave it at that. We're going to put some of the meat on our shells, along with some of the onions. I was actually afraid 12 ounces wasn't going to be enough for two of us, but I think there'll be leftovers when my boyfriend gets home. Won't eat it all on him. I guess more onions, though. He said, usually fajitas are onions and peppers. Peppers do have some carbs in them, so do onions. I'm not a huge fan of peppers, so I'm not going to add it if, I don't really want it. I'm going to top it with a couple tomatoes. And there you have it. Some keto fajitas with homemade flour, tortilla shells, coconut flour anyways. But I hope you guys enjoy. If you guys want to know the recipe, I can always type it out in the comments. So let me know, comment, and I'll put out the recipe. Like I said, it's not my recipe, but I really don't remember where I got it. So hopefully one of these days I'll have some people to chat with and enjoy this food. And I'll hopefully see you soon. Bye.